But the fact that we have the necessary forces and principles isn't nearly as surprising as the fine-tuning of the numbers that physicists plug into the laws of nature. These are the constants of physics: the cosmological constant, the gravitational constant, the strong force constant, the fine structure constant. These numbers could have had a wide range of values.
On what do you base that claim? How do you know that these constants could have a wide range of values? The mere fact that we can imagine them as having different values does not mean that different values are actually possible. And it certainly doesn't mean that a universe with different values would be more probable than the existence of this universe.
And based on what many atheists tell me, what are the only things we see around us that didn't require a designer or a creator? Us, human beings. And we just happen to be the most complicated things in the entire universe.
I don't know any atheists who say that humans are the only things that didn't require a designer, and complexity is not the same thing as design. There is no reason at all to infer that complex things require designers.
In order to ponder our place in the universe and to ask difficult questions like this and to desire answers and to find these answers satisfying or unsatisfying, we need human consciousness. And it's important to recognize that human consciousness isn't merely having a large and convoluted brain. Consciousness requires what we would call a soul.
What the fuck does that mean?
My atheist friends insist that awareness, thoughts, emotions, hopes, decisions, and so on are simply physical states in the brain. But what sense does that make?
None. Perceiving, thinking, feeling, hoping, deciding, etc. are actions, not states.
My beliefs are true or false. It doesn't make a lot of sense to say that this pattern of molecules is true and this other pattern of molecules is false.
Why not? There is no need to appeal to anything non-physical, whatever that even means. An analogy I often use is that if a rock falls into some mud, we can quite reasonably say that the indentation left in the mud is a true or correct or accurate reproduction of the shape of the surface of the rock. Similarly, if you see a rock, this will cause a pattern of activity in your brain that will model various aspects of that rock, including its shape. In the same sense, this pattern of brain activity can quite reasonably be said to be a true model of certain aspects of that rock.
I have thoughts that are about things. It doesn't make sense to say that this pattern of molecules is about something.
Sure it does. It makes perfect sense, just as it makes perfect sense to say that the indentation a rock leaves in some mud contains information about the shape of the rock. I don't understand why this is such a difficult thing for apologists to grasp.
If a scientist examines my brain, he might learn all kinds of things about my brain that I don't know, but he'll never learn more about my mind than I know.
Why not? Our brain scanning technology is still much more crude than we would like it to be, but I see no reason why it won't someday be possible to completely read every thought and feeling a person has, and the underlying mechanisms that produce them, which is something you would not know about your own mind. But even if it is the case that this is impossible, the most we could infer from that fact is that there is an epistemic limitation of what we can learn about the mind from looking at the brain. It would in no way imply that brain activity and the mind are distinct things.
If the physical world were the end of the story, human consciousness would not exist, because the human mind is inexplicable in purely physical terms.
Non sequitur. Even if the mind were inexplicable in physical terms, that would be a discursive limitation, not an ontological distinction.